What was luxury 10 years back
Yeah.
to what is luxury today in Bangalore?
I can completely customize, personalize it to me. With all due respect, I didn't really find their education system more advanced than India.
So there's a huge scope. How did your experience in IIT Madras help you evolve your mindset?
This has been a great journey so far, in fact, actually.
Okay.
When we went to IIT, right, actually, I never thought I'll be doing something like this someday, right? I mean, at that time, what was the dream? To probably go to US for higher studies and then settle there. Coming from Hyderabad, that was like a dream for a lot of people, right? I mean, just go to US for a higher education and settle there and probably retire from there, right? That was probably my dream, if you have to call it a dream. But once, in fact, I went to the US, in fact, for a higher education for doing my MBA. After my IIT, I went there. But 2 months into the college, I dropped out and came back because there were a lot of realizations there. I mean, one of the biggest realization was that I don't need to accumulate so many degrees, right? I mean, IIT education was good enough. At some point, there was this realization that at some point you have to start somewhere. You can't just keep waiting that, you know what, you will start after this MBA degree, because there's always this notion. Coming from a non-business family background, there's always this notion that, maybe an MBA degree will help you start something better, right? So, yeah, in hindsight, that dropping out of the college is one of the best things. Had I not done that, I don't know, I probably would have been in US, and I'm so glad I'm back in India because this is where all the action is. And yeah, it has been an incredible journey so far. We just finished 10 years of White Lotus. Yeah, it's been great.
Okay. Was there any one specific incident during college days that radically shifted your mind? One incident.
I don't know if I can point out one incident. One is, I'll also go back to a little bit of childhood days.
Okay.
When I probably was in class 7, maybe at the age of 14.
Okay.
I had this very strong urge that, I wanted to get out of this neighborhood. Okay. And these were the days when there was no internet. And TV probably had 2 channels. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Doordarshan and one more.
DD1, DD2, whatever.
DD1, DD2.
So there was no exposure, but this strong urge was there as a kid that, I want to get out of this neighborhood. I want to see the world. I want to explore the world, not just, otherwise typically how it was in those days, right? I mean, you grow up in the neighborhood, then you probably go to build a house in the same neighborhood, then your kids start growing in the same neighborhood, your whole relatives are in the same neighborhood. Somehow my thinking always that I wanted to get out of this neighborhood. So that was a very big realization to myself actually. Once I got into IIT also, the big realization and big changing point, if you ask me, would be the exposure in the campus here and the books I started reading. I mean, the non-academic books, right? The non-course related books I started reading that really shaped my mind. It made me realize there's a huge world out there, right?
Yes.
And a lot of things to explore. So, pivotal moment, changing moment in life, I would say back in the campus, yeah. Those interactions with people and...
As you mentioned, you went to the US as well.
Yeah.
Was there some shift there which urged you to come back to India and no, I think I'm missing something?
Actually, when you're bang on, you're right. When I went to US there for doing my MBA, August 2007 I went there, and yes, I attended my first classes and all of that. Then suddenly I realized that 2 things, right? Couple of things. One is there, with all due respect, I didn't really find their education system more advanced than India. Okay. I don't think it's true that it's more advanced than India. What I saw in that MBA course there, rather than giving more importance to the educational curriculum, they give more importance to the networking part of it. Like they put you in a room and they start teaching you networking. Normally, I'm usually pretty good with networking, so I was start questioning myself. Why am I paying some $100,000 and come all the way to US to learn networking? I mean, this is not what I want to do, right? And that was one thing. And second, this again overwhelming feeling was there that you're missing out on something because there's a lot more to do back in your country. Gone are those days where you feel that you have to get out of country to do something big. Actually, there's a lot more action happening here.
Yes.
Today, if you see today's generation, today the Gen Z, if you see, nobody is even talking about going to US. I mean, that ambition itself is not there. Everybody wants to do something here because they feel our country is far more superior, and all those countries want to have an exposure here. So that feeling was there a lot when I went to US. Maybe that was a big catalyst that I want to get out of the here. Made the decision very fast. Within 2 months, I dropped out and came back. Yeah.
Very nice. What I have seen in recent times, I have come across a lot of people, who want to pursue their career studies, higher studies, going to US or any other part of the country.
Yeah.
But with a short span, they are all coming back.
Yeah.
I think, you have created that stepping stone in terms of you realized what. So until people, if you sit here and tell them about it, they don't realize. But once you go there, you start realizing about it.
True, absolutely true. Yeah. In fact, it was not easy when I decided to come back. I remember this uncomfortable conversation I had with my parents, right?
I mean, imagine.
For them, it was like, what's wrong with him? They are like, do you have any health problem? I mean,
what is the issue?
Is money an issue? Why are you coming back? I'm like, no, I don't like this. I mean, it was very tough for them to understand when I say I don't like this, right? Okay. For them, it was like one 22-year-old kid saying that, middle class fellow going there, we took an education loan and he went there and suddenly says, I don't like it. What does it mean he doesn't like it? Yeah. For them, it was always like, keep pushing, right? Keep pushing and make it happen. Okay. Yeah, keep pushing is a good concept, but to what end, right? So that feeling was, I mean, it was not easy to come back. After I came back, a lot of people thought that, this fellow is doing something wrong and all of that. But now in hindsight,
I'm sure they would all realize that you were on the right path.
Yeah, true.
Brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, one point is there what I wanted to bring in, but we'll discuss more about it a little later.
Sure.
I just want to understand, how did White Lotus begin?
That's an interesting story actually. So in 2012, at the age of 27, I sold my previous business.
Okay.
I had a health and fitness business which I sold, and obviously I came into some money. Having tasted entrepreneurship, obviously I wanted to do one more venture. Okay. What? I had no idea. Okay. The reason I exited that is because I was not enjoying that. So at the age of 25 when I started that, so in 1 year, one and a half year, I realized that at this age, I'm not really enjoying this. Why should I waste prime of my age on this? So I sold off the business, made good amount of money, not knowing what to do next. But then typical middle class mentality, right? My parents constantly kept calling me every day that buy a home first. For them, it was like, I think it still holds true that,
Correct.
Buying a home is like a big milestone in your life, right?
It's an achievement, for example, in our parents' era.
Yeah.
It's more of in their lifetime they want to buy one house, make a beautiful house, get some rental income, live there peacefully. Yes. That used to be the mindset earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm sure I agree with you
so
on
maybe that. Maybe that probably holds good even today. I mean, maybe it has changed to multiple houses today. Maybe upgrading is a faster concept today.
Correct.
Those days it was one house, right? I mean, you build one house, you probably retire and die in that house, and probably you will hand it over to your kids, right? Maybe people dreamt of even getting their kids' marriages in that house, right?
Yes.
Today probably that concept has changed, but the fundamental concept of owning a home is still very dear, particularly in Indian context.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I read in a lot of articles, which says 99.1% people don't own their first home in India. So there's a huge scope for people to, buy homes.
Yeah. So during that time, actually, when parents wanted me to buy a home, right? I was living in Indiranagar, and Defense Colony was one place which I was fascinated about. So I wanted to buy a home. I went there and started looking for apartments. At that time, I had like a 5 crore budget, which was like a very good budget actually back, I'm talking about 2012.
Yeah.
Didn't find anything good. But in the whole process, I realized that, I have a very keen interest on architecture. I started looking at designs. I started looking where ventilation is coming from, ceiling heights, a lot of things which I didn't know about myself.
Okay.
Then I realized that maybe, I'm very curious at that time. I didn't find anything good. Long story short, I ended up buying a plot, and I thought I'll build a home myself. Got an architect on board, designed. Again, I was very keenly involved in the design process. Again, that is where I realized my interest in design. But I realized this house is too big. Then the architect gave an idea, why don't you build an apartment and sell off all the other apartments? Your penthouse might be free, your top floor might be free, and you get a free home.
Correct.
Did some math, felt like great, right? I mean, your parents want you to buy a home. You are getting a free home, you're getting your capital back, then you're free to do whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
So that is where, construction started. Again, I was very curious after construction started. I remember I used to get up early in the morning and feel that, I want to be in the site by 9:30 a.m. because I want to see
what's happening,
what people do. It was like the engineer in me again came back. Then I started learning AutoCAD and started seeing what is BOQ, how is it calculated. It was very curious times. Of course, in this whole process, I forgot that what is a new business I want to start, but I was enjoying this part.
Okay.
So during that part, my security guard probably told me that, there are a lot of people who are asking that the building is coming up well, we want to buy. Obviously I wanted to sell, but I never thought that somebody will buy during construction, right? I didn't know the business model back then. So I thought, let me meet them, right? That time there was no office, so Indiranagar 100 feet road, Coffee Day was the office for everything.
I mean, most of the people love to go to that Coffee Day.
Yes,
I also have some fond memories of that
so place. People didn't mind when I say coffee at Coffee Day, right? People were like, okay, nobody ever asked, you don't have an office, is it? So people came, we talked. Long story short, the market was quoting around 11,000-12,000 back then. I started quoting 16,000. I said at the most they'll say no, right? I mean, let's see, because I anyway have the money to construct on my own. Surprisingly, people came back with 14,000, 15,000 offers. What I realized during that time is this is a very trust deficit industry. People like that somebody from IIT actually is doing this and
taking so much of interest in terms of creating those.
So for them it was like a pain point that, because they always had to deal with these so-called builders where they can't trust them. So they wait for the whole building to get over, then buy it, then break the place and redo it, right?
Correct.
Here they're able to buy during construction and customize the way they want.
Correct.
So I realized that this is a huge problem. So I did some research, I started talking to people and all of that. Then I realized there's a big problem in the market. Maybe at that time some sort of a bulb glue which say that maybe I found my next business, right? So I didn't really pursue it back then, honestly. Went ahead, the first apartment got sold, cash flow started coming in, then more inquiries started coming in. Then I realized, let's try to corporatize this a little bit, right? So put a board on the site and, had to come up with a company name. So came up with this White Lotus.
Yeah, that reminds me, White Lotus.
Yeah.
I mean, how did this company name came in?
It's interesting actually, why, I mean, very deep thinking, right? So I always go back to first principles thinking for everything. So if you ever seen a lotus flower, right? I mean, in the night actually it completely folds.
Correct.
And it goes back into that muddy water. And in the morning it comes back and you won't even realize that it went back into the water. It comes back fresh, like it's just born, right? Fresh, untouched with all the, but it always grows in that muddy water. So we are also like that. We are very authentic, we are fresh. We are not untouched, we are untouched or untarnished by all the distraction around. So that is how we formed White Lotus. That's how.
Yeah, I mean, my second question, most of your completed projects, have a unique name.
Yeah.
Like Tamara, Arvindaksha,
yeah.
Ohana.
Yeah.
What is the mind behind this?
See, like I told you before, we feel we are the custodians and creators of crafting life experiences. So we don't really consider ourselves like builders actually. We are not builders. We craft meaningful life experiences for you by creating a home for you where you can create a lot of memories together. For us, home is very intimate.
Yes.
Home is where you create a lot of memories, your family grows up. That's home. Home is not four walls and a BHKs and all of that. So we don't look at a home like that. So for us, that authenticity and uniqueness is very important for us when we make a design. And that is how the White Lotus name also came up, right? For us, it was only natural to extrapolate that into the project names, right? I always find it very funny when, a lot of projects names are named after some streets in London and,
Correct.
I mean, we are building in India for Indians.
We have to be more Indian.
Yes, exactly. So we always look at very local, cultural, traditional values, even when we design the home, right? I mean, we look at a lot of local architecture. We always think that, how this home can be meaningful even for the next generation, not just this generation, right? I mean, so that is how the project names also came up, right? Arvindaksha, Tamara, Kalpavriksha. So these are all very Indian names, very local rooted. Correct. Of course, there is a very deep story behind every project name. We do this in discussion with the landowner partners because all our projects are joint developments.
Right.
So we also discuss with the landowner and understand that. So every project has a unique story, but whatever the story being, we always make sure that there is localness, there is authenticity, there is Indianness completely in it. So
nice.
Right from the name of the company to the name of the projects, we hope to continue that forever actually. Yeah.
Great. What are some of the key aspects, about Bangalore real estate luxury market?
Honestly, there's a lot to talk. This is one of the most beautiful markets in India.
Okay.
Primarily because it's not just luxury. I'm talking about in general Bangalore real estate market. It's at least 70% end user driven market. When compared to other geographies you take, they're typically a big combination of end users and investors, right?
Yes.
Bangalore typically you see immigrant city, people come here, husband and wife are earning well. 2-3 years into the city, they decide that they want to buy a home.
Yes.
They save up for their down payment and they can pay their EMIs. They do their calculations and they're good. The calculations are good, so there's always a very healthy end user demand. Okay, which actually makes sure that that even if you see the worst economic recessions or pandemic or whatever, right? Bangalore real estate market never crashed. I mean, there's no crash in Bangalore real estate market.
Yes.
Maybe the price remains the same for some time, but it never crashes because a crash typically happens when an investor has put in money. So the economy has fallen down. They want to take their money back. So they want to sell off. So there's a glut in the market. It never happens in Bangalore. Usually never happens in Bangalore. Now when it comes to the luxury home buyer in Bangalore, right? I mean, the luxury home buyer of Bangalore is very evolved. Okay. Typically, if you see a Bangalore typical, demographic, right? they work for an IT company or any startup or any of these big data companies where they travel a lot. Their exposure to different geographies is high. They pick that up a lot. Bangalore is also one very unique city where we are blessed with a lot of places around. Like within 2 to 3 hours drive, this is only a city where you can go to either Coorg or Sakleshpur. There are 100 places where you can go to.
Yes.
So people here, and that weekend culture of traveling and trekking is high here.
High here.
So people are very exposed. They are very evolved. They understand the meaning of luxury. For them, luxury doesn't mean just a good address and Italian marble. That's not luxury for them. For them, luxury is life experiences, right? I mean, so they're always looking at who is giving them the life experiences. So we always curate that life experiences, and for us also the definition of luxury is that. Of course, we are in good neighborhoods in Bangalore, but we don't just stop there, right? Today, a lot of builders just think that, if you give a good address, luxury, and you give an Italian marble and modular kitchen.
Most of the builders think about it, saying in a jungle also with my brand name, I should be able to sell luxury.
Yeah. So for us, it's a step beyond where we think that, luxury is all about life experiences. If you can craft good life experiences, people understand luxury, particularly a Bangalore customer, right? I mean, for example, if I say North Bangalore, we have signed a couple of villa projects in North Bangalore towards the airport. So one of the villa projects, right? I mean, there is a nala passing through the center of the property.
Okay.
So typically what happens, I mean, this is not an active nala. It is just there as part of the village map. So we have to continue that nala, as in we cannot construct anything.
Correct,
there.
obviously.
And there are some buffers to be left around that. So typically what a builder does is they just cover it up. They'll probably do a road on top of it or a park on top of it as per the norms. And they are done that, okay, I covered this extra buffer area into part of my regular norms. What we are doing there is we got a landscape architect from Bali there and underground infrastructure consultant from US. We are actually regenerating the nala. So what we are doing is we are digging the whole nala, converting that into a lake with a lagoon, and in the buffer areas we are actually building a huge park with gazebos. So with this, what happens, we are actually giving the community, sense of community to the home buyers there, where in the evening they can come together and make those life experiences. As a property developer, if we don't give them the platform to make experiences, a homeowner will never be able to make experiences outside the home. It's all limited there. And where is the community? Everybody says we are a gated community. What is community? A community is when you have to give them the opportunity to interact. Only then the community comes together.
Correct.
So these are the kind of things where your luxury customer really values. It's not just your address and your specifications and amenities, right? What kind of life experiences are you crafting for me? So we are very, always thinking very deeply on this, that any project we take, what are the life experiences I'm crafting for you? So that is where we start with. And your Bangalore luxury customer today is very, very evolved. Post-pandemic, this has become huge.
Okay.
The average
so
space
how do
also
you
has increased.
see a transition in last 10 years?
Yeah.
What was luxury 10 years back to what is luxury today in Bangalore?
So like I said, 10 years back, the so-called luxury was mainly good address to start with. Good specifications, right? Like Italian marble and a modular kitchen from Italy, let's say, is a luxury for you. And some specifications. It was all around address and specification, right? Versus today, it's not, I mean, of course, these things are there. Today, where it was evolved is also the space, right? In fact, COVID has accelerated that. Today, space is luxury. Today, your life experience is a luxury. Today, your neighbor is a luxury. If you can have your like-minded neighbor as in your community, that is luxury for me, not just the address. So it has drastically evolved in the last 10 years, and people today look at luxury in all these things, like, who's my neighbor? What are the different experiences I can have here? What is the community I have here? So these are some of the things which have changed drastically, yeah.
Do luxury buyers prefer custom-built homes or pre-designed luxury homes? What are they looking for?
See, they definitely prefer customized homes, because like we were discussing about the last 10 years versus how luxury customers evolve, right? One of the big things also is personalization.
Yes.
So, and it's not just in real estate, right? Wherever you go across luxury today, personalization is a big, feature of luxury today.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, they definitely prefer personalized homes, and that is something which we have been doing at White Lotus right from the day one, right? I mean, for example, whenever a buyer decides to buy a home with White Lotus, we actually insist on the whole family coming and meeting us, because we want to understand everybody's lifestyle. We want to have a conversation with them. Like, only then you will see how can I make a home personal to you. If I don't know your lifestyle, I cannot personalize a home to you if I don't know you. As simple as that.
Yes.
So that requires a little bit of conversation, not just with one person, right? It's with everybody in the family. So typically we encourage everybody to come. We have like a 1-2 hours conversation with them, and something like this. Actually, we talk to them, and we realize that a lot of things about their lifestyle and all of that. And that is when we come up with the crafting the life experiences for them. And this is a big thing for luxury people. The personalization is a very big thing, and that is something, I mean, a lot of developers are trying, but getting true personalization really requires some skill actually. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, most of the developers, because they would have already designed something, you know, so it becomes very difficult because when they are making large communities, it becomes very difficult. But I think with the way you are crafting, meeting each of the interested person who is going to buy a luxury makes a lot of sense.
See, your bang on, it's not going to be easy. At scale, it's not easy to meet everybody customized, right? Personalized. But one good thing is, in the last 10 years also, we have always been sold out right off brochure. We never had to even dig a hole in the ground before to sell, right? I mean, it always was sold out before. So that way we have been lucky that we are able to personalize the home to you, because you bought it on day one when that nothing is there in the ground yet, right? So easy for me to have a conversation because I don't have to change anything there. In fact, today if you have to buy with White Lotus, there's a wait list actually. You have to join a wait list, and we'll tell you when we can.
Can you tell us more about this, because this looks quite exciting. So what is this wait list?
So in like I said, we always have been sold out from day one, because over a period of time, the way we have been crafting home and crafting that life experiences for people realize that if you actually come in early, right, and buy with White Lotus, I can actually get my home. It's not just one apartment I'm buying, right? We don't call it an apartment or even a house. We call it a home. So people have realized that I can get my home with White Lotus in a community completely taken care of White Lotus, because we do the property management also. So they realized that if we come in early, I can completely customize, personalize it to me. So they have started buying. It has reached a point where we have limited homes. So we've reached a point where people have been coming and giving signed undated checks to us saying that, next project, please don't tell that it is sold. So we've started this, I mean, how do we prioritize, right? So we started this waitlist concept. So where you come, if you are interested, let's say you have to join a waitlist, you will be given a number and all of that. So based on that number, you are in a queue. So whenever a next project is signed, we go through the waitlist and call. If you already bought something, or if you're not looking anymore, we go to the next person. So it is like first come, first serve, but there's a waitlist actually. We hope to continue this waitlist model even in villa projects.
I have heard about a waitlist typically in the Middle Eastern region like Dubai, where people stand with checks early morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Most of the middlemen do that instead of their investors, but that's an investor market,
of course,
not more of who wants to come live. I think with you, the kind of people who will come are who wants to experience that luxury and stay there.
Sure.
Right. How important is tech in real estate?
See, tech today has evolved a lot in every aspect of life actually, and all the more in real estate, right? I mean, tech can help you achieve a lot of things, right? Like comfort, convenience, control. These are some things which tech can give you, right? I mean, the way we use tech is in a lot of aspects. One is, since we personalize the homes a lot, with the current AI technology, we are able to generate live models of 3D render models of designs.
Very nice.
And so something like if I have a conversation with you, I have a default floor plan, I have a conversation with you, I want to change that and talk back to you. It take me 2 to 3 weeks.
Correct.
Right now with technology, in the same day I can do and send it back to you.
Yes.
So that has drastically improved using tech. Actually, it was not there earlier. That is one. Of course, during construction, there's a lot of tech we use actually to speed up things, get efficiency, the execution part of it, create snag lists during handover, identify a lot of flaws in the construction. So a lot of tech is being used so that human intervention is very minimized. And even during maintenance, like I mentioned, we do a property management of all our projects after we hand over. We use a lot of tech there where customers are able to raise a ticket. If there is any problem, they are able to raise a ticket right on WhatsApp, immediately we are able to resolve that. So with the advent of AI now, actually we are quite excited about the future, because in fact we are building out a big tech team here in White Lotus, because we see that this is a tech team in real estate also is going to be big, not just in technology.
It's going to be huge, because prop tech these days are adding a lot of value. That reminds me, do you even have a VR, AR kind of a concept to visualize your project?
So honestly, in our current projects, we have not been using. In the villa projects, we do intend to use that, because primarily because of the distance also, because in the outskirts it might not be practically viable for you to go and visualize a lot of things. So we intend to use that, but since our homes are very personalized, the visualization happens after we talk to you and we customize the home for you, then the visualization happens. But that is something we intend to use actually a lot.
What are some of the parameters buyers should consider when purchasing luxury homes?
So there are a lot of parameters actually people do consider, particularly in luxury context. Of course, your location makes a lot of difference, and then you look at a lot of your social infrastructure, right?
Okay.
You look at your access to schools, malls, your hospitals and all of that. So a lot of the social infrastructure makes a lot of difference, particularly when it comes to luxury context, right? One of the things which people are realizing now, which we have been doing from day one, is the property maintenance. Any good luxury property, if you don't do property maintenance, right, it can start looking bad within a couple of years.
Yes.
Even an average property, if you do good property maintenance, right, it will start looking very good even in future. So property maintenance is something which we have to see. Develop a track record, of course. I mean, have they delivered on time, and ask around. I always say, don't underestimate the power of references, right? Just because they show something online,
Very important.
don't assume that they are great. I mean, they might be today. A lot of things are fabricated online. So ask people. Ask for references, talk to people who already bought from them and all of that. So these are some of the things which are very valuable for a luxury customer actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trust is very crucial in luxury real estate.
Yeah.
So how do you build this trust among your customers?
So one is, like I always said, we are very authentic about things. So we genuinely want to craft meaningful life experiences for a homeowner, right? So that authenticity and genuineness and the intent automatically translates into trust. And
Okay.
people realize the trust very soon, right? I mean, there have been cases in the past where after a long conversation with the prospective buyer, we realized that, and we told them also that you should not buy here, because maybe they just wanted to buy White Lotus, but they are not ready. That's not the right thing for them to do. We have advised them very genuinely. That builds a lot of trust. And also, if you see the top management also here, right, we are all from IIT and IIMs, where that educational background itself builds in inherent trust, and
Correct.
people like that, because intent of these people is always correct, and this has a lot of weightage on trust. And like I said, we never try to sell you something, right? I mean, we are here to make your home experience a meaningful experience, and that builds in a lot of trust, and we have seen in the past. And one more thing which we do is, we don't generally sell any home to people just because you can buy. So we handpick our people.
Okay.
So that developed a lot of trust, because when people know that today if you buy a home with White Lotus, they know that my neighbor is also going to be like me. So that took a lot of time, but people now understand that. So that built a lot of trust actually today. Yeah.
Very nice. To reach the intent objective of building sanctuaries, what skills or knowledge are essential for younger professional people?
So yeah, lot of skills definitely. I'll give you my perspective on what I look at actually. Yeah. So right now we are hiring a lot at White Lotus, and some of the things I look at is, of course, the intent, right? When a person's intent is correct, obviously the rest of things will fall in place. If your intent is not correct, then a lot of things won't fall in place automatically. I look at authenticity, genuineness in people, right? And when I say authenticity, it's not just work. In fact, when people come here for an interview, I don't even look at their resume before, because I don't want that to cloud my judgment. So I look at the authenticity in life, family, your friends, your health. So your general outlook towards all these things actually. And of course, a lot of cultural aspect. Yes. You can have a very smart person, but culturally, if they're not the right fit for your company, then the whole culture will start changing very soon. So for us, the cultural fit also is very important, and yeah, general outlook
very
towards
valid
life.
point.
Yeah, very general outlook towards life. How do you think about life? What is your long-term goals actually? And these are things not just restricted to work, right? These I want to know about your life, your family, your outlook towards your friends, friendships.
Correct.
Health. A lot of these things actually make a lot of difference.
Recently on social media, I saw, I think at White Lotus, you guys completed 10 years and
Yes.
you all celebrated.
Yes,
So
yes.
that speaks about the culture, what you are building
Correct, yeah.
in your organization.
Right from we went out and we celebrated that, right from even housekeeping staff to everybody till the top. We all went out for bowling and we had lunch together. It was a great experience, because we are like one family now actually, where we all know each other.
Very
by
important,
names.
because today people, they know what they will have to deliver out, what they will have to do accordingly once you build that culture.
Sure. Yeah.
True. You mentioned that, and we all are aware that you are a first generation entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What is it like to start something without a family background which was doing this?
Very interesting question. Yeah, I come from a small middle class family where my mom was a school teacher, dad was a bank manager in the local branch. Never thought I'll be doing what I'm doing today, right? I mean, definitely not real estate. Always wanted to start something. The IIT days really changed a lot of my perspective, like I said earlier. Yes, sometimes I do wonder, would things have been different had I come from a business family background? Maybe, I don't know. But sometimes I wonder, sometimes I feel that, maybe not coming from a business family background has been helpful for me, because I don't come with any baggage, right?
Yes.
I don't have to run a family business now.
Yes.
I don't have to just blend into a business which is not my idea. So honestly, I like that, I don't come from a business family background. Yes, of course, I did my fair share of mistakes, but starting out young helped. At the age of 25, I became an entrepreneur, so that really helped actually, and the journey has been
That
amazing.
speaks about it.
Yeah, the journey was really amazing, but yeah, I really enjoyed being this first generation entrepreneur. I don't know how life would have been different had I not been a first generation entrepreneur, but yeah, we never know that. Yeah.
Lastly,
Yeah.
on that note, do you have any one quality, characteristic,
Yeah.
or a quote which you want to, highlight?
It'll be tough to come up with just quality quote because, like I told you earlier, I read a lot. I read at least 5 books simultaneously. I can't read one book at a time, so I keep reading 5 books at a time. Usually they are from biographies, psychology books, a lot of history books, business case studies. Personally, I'm very passionate about Ayurveda, so I read a lot of Ayurvedic books and all of that because that's our old culture. We are going back to the roots. So if I have to, so I learn a lot from every of these books which I read. So you have to go back of what I learned from this. If I have to think of the top of my mind, right? So one of the things which I would say is just showing up in life, right? I mean, the importance of that is grossly underestimated. So when I say showing up, I don't mean just showing up at work, right? You mean showing up at situations. Hiding away from tough situations is very easy, but the moment you show up, that builds in a lot of trust to people, and people know that I can rely on this person. So that I learned this the hard way. Just showing up really, and during COVID, I really learned this the hard way, that nobody knew what was happening in the world, but just being there and showing up gave that strength and confidence to everybody, right from our office to our homeowners. Everybody, it gave a confidence. One more thing I probably would, if I have to say, is time, right? I mean, always put in your best effort, but after a particular point, only time can heal things or do things. So just give things time, and particularly all the more applicable for an impatient guy like me. I'm very impatient in life, so
Why do you call yourself impatient?
I am very impatient in life actually. I have become quite patient now, but I've learned that give things time, and time heals everything.
No, that impatient, maybe you can call it as curiosity as well.
Which is true. The impatience started because of all the curiousness I had from college and all of that. But yeah,
unless you get that perfect thing, you're always curious, saying that okay, someone can point this, point that, and things like that.
True, that's true. Yeah.
Amazing, Pavan. I think I had a very good time interacting with you.
Oh, pleasure was all mine. This was been a great conversation actually. Wish we could do more.
Thank you for your time, effort. I know it's a busy schedule for you, but it's always good to meet up people like you because we always want to showcase people who are doing something unique. And I think you're doing a fantastic job.